I did write down a couple of notes if you'll indulge me to share. First, I want to thank ASCAP for this tremendous honor. Thank you to Beth, who I spoke to on the phone today from New York, Paul, Tita, Kelly, Mike, and everyone at ASCAP for all that you do on behalf of all of your songwriters. A couple of weeks ago, as Paul mentioned, I was in DC with him and their team and had the opportunity to meet with Congress, to perform for them, and really got to witness the work that they do behind the scenes firsthand as advocates for all the songwriters in this room. And I left absolutely filled with an even greater sense of gratitude for all that they're doing for us, for songwriters' rights, protecting them, and for our futures to be secured in these ever-changing times. So if we could just give a round of applause for ASCAP and the work that they're doing, I'm really grateful for that. When ASCAP called me a few weeks ago, or I forget when it was, to tell me they had this Golden Note Award that I was going to be winning, my first order of business was to ask them if this was an award that they give to a writer when they're at the end of their career. Because I always wake up with the feeling that my best song is still ahead of me and that I'm just getting started. Once they assured me that this was not some sort of forced retirement, I was able to breathe a little easier, and tonight I can stand here and gladly accept this far from over Golden Note Award. I want to start and just thank my wife Emily and my two daughters Lulu and Delaney, who are here with me tonight. There's a lyric in a Counting Crows song where the singer Adam Duritz says, "There's a piece of Maria in every song that I sing." He's, of course, brokenhearted, talking about an old girlfriend, but that's always resonated with me when I think about my daughters. There's a piece of my wife and my daughters in every single song that I write. That's how I feel about you. You three are my everything because of everything God has given to me in you. He's given me three of the best things. You are the best things I've ever done, best choices I've ever made, and I'm so blessed, and I love you so much. So thank you for being the first ones who hear my songs and to give me your honest opinion. I thank you for that. I always talk about the importance of having champions in life. AJ just mentioned that in his kind words towards me, the ones who cheer you on, the ones who believe in you when others doubt, the ones who have no agenda other than to see you win. Those are all a rare find, but somehow, in God's favor, I can count more champions than my fair share, and I just want to take a second to thank those. My mom and my dad, they're my first champions. They were the ones dropping $20 in my tip jar at Barnes & Noble's bookstore on 71st Street in Downers Grove, Illinois. They're still in my corner. Cindy Wilt was my first publisher who ran up and down Music Row, playing my song demos for anybody who would listen. And those who are clapping remember Cindy. She left this world too soon after battling cancer. I'll never forget her, and I think about her on nights like this, and I hope I've made her proud. I'll never forget she called me one day. This was years ago. I was just trying to get started, and she called me freaking out because she was so proud of herself. She had booked a meeting with the producers of Rascal Flatts at the time as they were blowing up, and she booked it under the guise of pitching them some gospel songs for a side project they were doing in the gospel world. But she really went with one of my songs that I had written for my wife, and she wanted to slip it in there and pitch it to Rascal Flatts. And she called me because at the very end of the meeting of pitching these gospel songs, she said, "Oh, I got one more for you." She called me freaking out because the producer said, "That's the one we need." And she said, "You're getting a Rascal Flatts cut." And I'll never forget that, and I'll always be thankful. Because as you might remember, those were the days when albums still sold. And so even if you didn't have the radio single, you could buy some decent furniture for your new wife. So that's why we got that couch, babe. Other key champions in my life and in my songwriting career that I have to mention tonight with nothing but appreciation. Chris Farron, who's been in Combustion Music, been an amazing publisher for the last 12 years, and I'm so thankful for his friendship, his wisdom, and his guidance. Jason Hauser and Michael Martin, I didn't even know they were going to be here tonight, and they were already in my speech, so I want you to know that they were two of the first believers who, when the world was looking at me and saw a songwriter, maybe not a strong enough artist, they said, no, we think you should be the singer of those songs too. And I'll never forget that support and that belief. Tim Dubois, Tony Brown, Brad O'Donnell, and most recently Blaine Barkas and Holly Zapka at Provident Label Group. Thank you all for believing in me and the songs that I write and the records that I make. I also want to thank all the publishers and especially the artists who allow me to be part of their careers by joining them in the songwriting room every day. This is something that means a lot to me. I decided when I got a record deal that I wasn't going to abandon that other form of creative expression, writing behind the scenes, and it's been one of the best decisions I ever made. I get just as much joy from cheering on my fellow artists, watching their songs reach the world, as I do when it's a song that I'm singing on. I want to thank you all, for the artists' friends, for trusting me to take that journey with you. I've been blessed to have so many champions, and I look at the songwriting rooms I get to be in with artists as a way of championing those writers and those artists that I get to write for. Also writers that I get to sign, like AJ Pruce. Championing him is one of the great joys of my life. And if you don't know, I'm going to champion him right now. He is one of the most talented writers and producers that has stepped foot in Nashville, Tennessee in the last 10 years, and the world is finding out. Lastly, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to write another song, and I'm going to do it again the next day. And apparently I'm going to do it with Dennis Quaid one of these days. How cool is that? I will say, when he came over to my house, my wife was going to be having a ladies' luncheon at another house in Franklin, and she said, "Hey honey, I was thinking about moving our luncheon to our house today." And I told Dennis that I spared him a 30 women meet and greet that day, so he owes me one. I'm going to keep writing, and the reason is not for an award like this. It's because I believe in the power of Christ-centered music, the message that it carries, the message of hope to a hopeless world, and the way that God can use it to change people's lives is something that I'll keep doing until my very last breath. So thank you all so much. Thank you, ASCAP. It's an honor. Appreciate it.